Beckley Francis coming on first with us here to have his say on today. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the Football Terrace. I've now lost what I need. That's it there. Welcome. What do you want to say, my friend?
Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
No problem.
I was going to say that you played really well today. The first game actually in a while that Arsenal play like really fluid football, like quick passing, and it just shows that in the Champions League, teams open up more against us because they are not used to playing against us. So then it creates space for our attackers. And it means that Martinelli, Saka, Jesus have got a bit more space. And today they're just clinical as well. Because if you look at the stats, we only have about 15 shots and we usually have about 20 a game. So that was very clinical today and it's a very good performance.
It was a very good performance. I wanted to ask you, what did you make of Kai Havertz? He's been very much maligned. The signing was criticised, but it's 2 games running now where he's come up trumps for Arsenal with 2 very important goals.
Look, I don't rate him at all. I think he's dead, but I thought like today he was actually really good. Like he was getting on, he was receiving the ball, little 1-2s, and I saw his confidence increase as well today. And it looks like hopefully he can go on a run against like the next couple games and get some more goals because I think there's a player there, but I just think that his confidence is just in the gutter because of Chelsea days. But I think if you can get him scoring goals, I think he can just become like a guy later on in the box, just scoring goals, like 15 goals a season, just one of those sort of players. Like, that's what I think. But I don't know. I still don't want him starting there for us, though. Like,
listen, I understand. Do you know what it is? I understand. I think it's one of those. He's never going to be Zidane. He's never going to be Dennis Bergkamp. But what he could be is somebody who, yes, he costs 60 million, but if he pops up with 15 goals a season and important goals, I think he'll pay that price tag back. I think it could be an important part for you. I really do. I really, really do. In terms of you guys scoring more now, is this more what you want to see? Some people are saying it's only because your opponents tonight opened up. Or do you think this was more the Martinellis, the Sakas, the Jesuses just being clinical and really upping their game?
I think it's a bit of both because I think that the reason why we're not scoring lots of goals like in the first like half an hour or so is because Arteta wants to reserve our energy for later on in the season so we don't get injuries. And if we go and blitz team, someone's like, it can burn them out. As we're seeing with Spurs, they're going all gun home, but they're getting injuries now as well. So I think it's a bit of both. But today, I think because they opened up against us and Saka, Jesus, Martinelli, Odegaard and Havertz, all clinical, we just blitzed them in the first half an hour. And if you give players like that a bit of space, they're going to do something. But like, overall, I think that in the Premier League, I think that it will be a bit harder to score this many goals because teams will sit back, 2 banks of 4, and then look to counter. But as the season goes on, I do expect Arteta to let them be a bit more expansive. As you saw with City last season, later on in the season, they start clicking into gear. So I think that's what Arteta is trying to do with Arsenal so that we can save our players that are the run at the end of the season so we don't get injured.
Yeah, listen, I understand that, and I think that makes a lot of sense. You're into the next round now. How far do you think Arsenal can go in the Champions League this year?
I think we've got a better chance to win the Champions League than the Premier League because I think in the Champions League, you've got to be consistent over 38 games. Premier League, sorry. In the Champions League, it's one-off games. And the reason why I think we can win the Champions League is because of our defence. And because if you watch City last season, away from home, they kept it tight against Madrid. They drew 1-1. Against Bayern away, they drew 1-1 as well. And the reason why they didn't lose is because they had a very good defence. 4 centre-backs playing across the back 4, kept it tight. When they went back to their ground, they backed themselves to win. I think we can go far, depending on our draw. But I think we could probably get to the semi-finals. I back us at semi-finals if we get the right draw because apart from City, I back us against anyone. Like Bayern Munich aren't that great. I've watched them a lot of times this season. They aren't that great. Madrid, you can get at them. They're back there. You can get them back for Madrid. But like they're just so clutch. They got Bellingham, they got Rodrigo, they got Vinny. But apart from Madrid and City, I think we can beat pretty much anyone in the Champions League.
There we go. Listen, great call, my friend. Do us a favor in the private chat. Have you got an @ on Twitter or something like that?
I got it on Twitter. Yeah, one sec.
Stick it in there and Kayla, drop your message. It'd be good to get you one again, Beckley.
Yeah, thank you.
Love it. All the best, my man. You take care. All the best. Speak to you soon. Thank you very much, bro. Thank you. Thank you. Next on the show, we're going to... Who am I picking here? There's so many people to choose from. I'm going to go to AJ. What you saying, AJ?
Hey, how's it going, Terry? First off, big shout out to the Terrace. Big shout out to the Terrace. Thank you. Content. It is 60 million down the drain. No, that was amazing. Seeing us in the Champions League again. I'm in my mid-30s and seeing us perform like that at that level, amazing. Amazing.
Absolutely. And, 6-0, huge scoreline, got your goal-scoring boots on again. You want to see more of this now moving forward. And you think there's still another level or two to come from Arsenal this season?
Absolutely. It's like you always say, we haven't clicked into gear yet. We're not fully there. We're not all guns firing. We'll get there. I'm liking seeing Kai Havertz actually step into gear, actually get the ball moving, seeing him score in back-to-back games and actually have a performance. It's amazing. I'm excited for the future, for Yuri and Timber to step back into this team. I think players like that, maybe one more signing in January. I know everyone says we need 2 or 3 new signings, but I think one more signing in January could get us over the line.
Yeah, look, I think it really could. I wanted to ask you about Kai Havertz. I know you sung the song when you came in. He's kind of been the talking point the last few days, predominantly due to getting the winner, League Gunner trending. By the way, I will say this, 5 days running now, he's been the number one trend, the words League Gunner in the UK, because he didn't celebrate the goal. And I know a lot of Arsenal fans don't rate him highly, but is he starting, in your opinion, to deliver and pay back that big price tag?
I'd say it's too early to say. I would say I can't stand Lee Gunner. Some of his takes are absolutely outrageous, and he likes to walk himself into a hole way too often. But as far as Kai Havertz, no, he's not there yet. 2 goals in 2 matches doesn't do it, even though they are, like you say, big goals. An opening goal in a game like tonight and a winner the other night, fantastic. But he's got more to prove.
Yeah, I hear you on that. And who stood out for you tonight? Who was the star in this Arsenal team for you?
I loved watching Martinelli work, seeing him back at his best. I could tell when he got his goal, I was sitting there watching it, and I was sitting there watching him thinking he wants to get on the score sheet tonight. And seeing him contribute the way he did, I loved it.
Absolutely. AJ, pleasure talking to you, mate, and we'll chat again soon. Top man. Thank you, bro.
Thanks, Terry. Have a good one.
My man. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. Let's do some super chats here, and we'll take some more calls in a few moments. This here says, Terry, you've been saying for weeks that Arsenal will slap someone up. You've been spot on. Yeah, I knew they were going to slap someone up at some point. It was going to come. I don't think Arsenal have been as bad as people are making out. I just haven't. And I know people will go to their default and Terry's twerking for Arsenal. That's not an argument. It's not a rebuttal. It's not debunking me. It's a very mild, lukewarm insult that has zero impact upon my life, that doesn't debunk or rip into or change anything I think or feel. It just doesn't. And I think Arsenal are going to get so much better as this season goes on. And I was watching tonight with my best mate, Phil, who's a gooner. And I hate watching him happy. I hate watching him sitting there, drinking my liquor, eating my food, celebrating his team winning when United have just collapsed again. But I can't not be honest when I'm working and I'm being professional. I'm giving a professional answer. This Arsenal team are developing something special. I've said it for a while. Thank you very much, Alberto. We've got Gunner King coming on with us in a few seconds' time. We celebrating beating Rennes. Arsenal is a small club. I think you celebrate every win, and you should celebrate every win, especially when, by the way, 5-0 at halftime. No English club has ever done that ever before. Of course, that's allowed a little celebration. Absolutely. 6-0. Thank you for a great birthday gift, Arsenal. Come on, you Gooners. I appreciate that super chat. Thank you very much indeed. Beckley, thank you for becoming an official squad member of the Football Terrace as well. That means a great deal to us here. It certainly does. Steve Mills says concentration levels this season are so much better. The way we stayed switched on even after being 5 up at halftime. Red Army, love the show, Terry. Thank you very much indeed, Steve. And you are switched on, and we've all seen the statistics and the heat maps that show that Arsenal get progressed on less than anyone else in the Prem. You concede less goals than anybody else in the Prem. You've got you just look imperious at the back at times. Of course, people create against you. It'd be weird not to happen. The greatest teams ever concede goals. But Arsenal's defense is solid. And for the first time ever this season, when it comes to Arsenal, we are seeing this rhetoric that's never been said before. It's always been stated that defenses goals win you games and defenses win you titles. This season, having a solid defense and being hard to break down. The only pundit, and there's an irony maybe in this, because last year Gunas felt that he was against them. The only pundit that's remaining true to this long-standing thought and theory about football has been Gary Neville. Everybody else is suddenly acting like having a strong defense and being hard to beat doesn't matter. And for me, that is an absolute nonsense. Gunnar King's here with me now. Welcome back to the show, mate. I know it's been a while. How you doing?
Yeah, man, I'm doing good. Yeah, it's good to be back. It has been a while. But what a performance tonight. People have, been saying that we need to score more goals, and we definitely did that tonight. It is only Lens, but good to see Havertz on the score sheet again. Back-to-back games, scoring. I think hopefully he can just continue in this vein of form. You can only beat who's in front of you, but look, first time of asking after being out of the Champions League for 6-7 years, into the round of 16, and the boys should be really proud. To be honest, I think
they should be proud. I mean, there were some people even at the beginning of the season that were talking about maybe you not even getting out of the group stages, not having a good European pedigree, the manager not being very good. And I know you lost the way in France, but I again, as a neutral watching you, I feel like you've got through the group stages with relative ease. I mean, you went away to Sevilla and won, which is a hard place to go and win in Europe.
Sorry, say that again.
I was saying you've actually been fairly comfortable in this European qualification, the group stage process. You won tonight. You won away in Sevilla, and I feel sometimes like Arsenal's sort of Champions League campaign's been overlooked. When you get teams like, say, maybe Newcastle being a little bit hit and miss at times in the Prem, and you've had pundits say, "Oh, they're playing 2 games a week now. They're in the Champions League," but yet with Arsenal, they're top of the league, top of their Champions League group, but it's being brushed over like it's a nothing. I'm not too sure why.
I think, look, we know that there have been shortcomings in Arsenal's history in Europe. Look, we know that we've probably been a letdown on the European stage, relative to many other teams. But look, I think, and I don't want to stick the knife in because obviously I know you support United, but sometimes I think we look too much into heritage. It's not to say it's not important, but the team in England with the most European heritage is the one that's looking most likely to potentially exit at the group stages. Man City hadn't won a Champions League last season until they did. And I think there is a bit of a changing of guard that is happening, with a lot of teams, not just in England, in Europe as well. I think a lot of teams are coming to the end of their cycle, and this team's just getting started. You look at the age of Saka, you look at the age of Saliba, you look at the age of Martinelli, Odegaard, Ben White, Gabriel. These are young players, and this is their first Champions League campaign. People will say, oh, okay, it's an easy group, don't get ahead of yourself. But some of these players have only played 5 Champions League games, Saka being one of them, and for me, it goes to show that, yeah, okay, heritage is important, but these kids, they're hungry, they are hungry to, sort of change the fortunes and the destiny of this club, especially on the European stage, and they've got the talent to do it. I think the way we're playing at the moment, we've maybe lacked a little something going forward in our recent games, in the opening start of this season. But we've also been missing a lot of our first team attacking players throughout the season intermittently, at different stages. So I think, look, this team is doing really well. And I think if we can keep this group together and keep adding to it and they can keep getting better, then I just think being successful in Europe is just something that is going to happen.
Listen, I agree with what what Beckley said a little bit earlier on in the show. I actually think there is a train of thought that winning the Champions League could be more doable for Arsenal than the Premier League this year. 38 games is harder to be more consistent over, and you're up against the best team in the world. And the Liverpool team, by the way, if they were in the Champions League this year, they'd have a chance of winning it because they're back to being very good again. Well, Real Madrid are obviously a threat. As an example, Bayern Munich are a threat, City are a threat. They're the only three teams in this tournament, could argue Napoli as well, maybe, who I would look at and go, I think are probably better than Arsenal, or you could make a good argument why they're better than Arsenal. I don't think anybody else is. And you might not even play any of those teams. They might all knock each other out, if that makes sense, because you don't know who you're going to get. Arsenal have a chance in this tournament, and you're right. Heritage is important in some regard. But at times, if heritage was all that matters, City wouldn't have won a treble last year. It's as simple and as straightforward as that. So at times, heritage gets put in the bin. Once upon a time, Chelsea hadn't won a Champions League. They have two of them now. There comes a point where you can get it done. Listen, Gunnar King, always a pleasure, mate, to speak football with you, bro. And I'm sure we'll do it again soon, my G.